Well, hi there, everyone. How are y'all doing today? My name is Bo Zimmer. I am a reporter for 10 News WTSP. I'm going to be your MC tonight, and I'd like to welcome everyone out for, I believe this is our third annual Cut for a Cure here at Cigar City, and I'm so excited to be back. I was telling some of the guys earlier who I've seen in previous years, I can't believe they get these beards growing back every year in full force, but apparently they grow them back pretty quickly, so it's pretty exciting. As I said, this is the third annual event. We're so excited that all of you could come out here tonight to Cigar City Beer and fundraise for the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. It's hard to believe, but Cigar City over the past 3 years has already raised over $6,000 for this incredible cause. And you know, as incredible as that is, kind of their excitement over this whole goal has really spread, and as we've seen in previous years, a number of other breweries all over the Tampa Bay area and even outside of the Tampa Bay area have decided to take part in this as well, and are also raising their own money to go to this same cause. So a big thank you to the guys here at Cigar City for really getting all this started and inspiring so many people. At this time, I'd like to bring up Chris Lovett, who's going to tell us a little bit about Cigar City, why they got involved in this, and what happens here.
I'm afraid I'm going to drop this and break it. So thank you guys. Thank you again, Bo, for 3 years coming out. Thank you, Taylor, for everything you've done to make this happen. This is like he said, this is our third year doing it, and you know, each year we've raised right around 10 grand, hitting a total of $30,000 over the last couple years. The event has gotten so successful that it's actually spawned off a Fort Lauderdale Cut for the Cure Brewery edition at Lauderdale and Tap 42 restaurant down there. So they are doing their own event later on in April as a continuation of what we've started here. So it is. With everything that we do, the one thing that's most important to us is community, and the community around us, and what it means to our brewery, and you know the relationship that we've had with Pediatric Cancer Foundation. And when they first came to us with the idea of doing this, and we pitched the idea of shaving off our beards because it's one of those industry things that it's guys with beards at breweries. So we pitched the idea, they looked at us kind of funny, and then they said, yeah, let's do it. And 3 years and $30,000 later, we're doing it again, and we couldn't do it without the help of our stylists and our straight razor barber that's in town for the second year in a row. So this year, actually being able to reach out to somebody who's become a personal friend of mine in the last year and get him involved in this. You're going to hear more about him later and his story. But being able to have this touch home to where it's actually, telling the story of people that are in my life and friends of mine, on top of the help that we're trying to do for everybody else. It's really meaningful to me and everybody else here at the brewery. So I'm going to hand this back to Bo, and let's keep this rolling.
Thanks so much, Chris. And Chris, I have to tell you, my first year being a part of this event, I was invited out to Cut for a Cure. I'm thinking, they're going to be buzzing off the heads. I was so impressed. I had no idea you guys were going to be cutting off your beards, because I do know that's a big part of your identities, and you get proud of these beards. And
it's the ugly.
So I'm impressed with what you guys do, and you guys are doing some great work. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So next up, I'd like to invite up Taylor Llewellyn, who is the individual development manager of the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. And it's one thing to hear a figure like they've raised $6,000, but where is that money going? That's what I think everybody who's volunteering here tonight, all of you want to know. Where is this money going, and what is it actually going to help for? So Taylor's going to help explain some of that.
Thanks, Bo. I just want to start off first off and just thank all the guys at Cigar City who are here today to shave their beards. I want to thank our lovely stylists who have volunteered their times and barber, and also all of the kids for coming out today to support. So thank you all. Let's give them a round of applause. At the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, our main mission is to find a cure for pediatric cancer. So 43 children are diagnosed with pediatric cancer every single day, and of those, 95% have lasting side effects as a result of being treated with chemotherapy treatments that are really too harsh for their little bodies. So what we do at the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation is we fund research to help find more targeted and less toxic therapies for these kids. So all of the money that you've raised tonight, for everyone that's volunteering, donated, if you're braving the shave tonight, we appreciate it because all of those funds will go directly towards pediatric cancer research. Thank you.
And every year, as I've been a part of these events, I learn a little something new, and that was one of the things that really impressed me. You know, this is about more than just finding a cure, which is so important, but improving the lives of kids that are going through some of the most horrible things anyone ever has to go through. So the mission here is so important, and we so appreciate all of you being out here to help support with this tonight. And next up, I'd like to invite up someone who has a story that I'm sure is going to be very inspiring to everyone here tonight. His name is Phil, and Phil has been through some of the things that we're talking about. And I'd like to invite up Phil now to share a little bit about his story and why what we're doing here tonight is so important. Phil?
Hey, how's it going? This whole microphone thing's a little weird. So I'm going to set a timer real quick because I'm Hispanic and I was told I had 5 minutes, and that can go a lot longer if I don't keep track. So yeah, quick introduction on who I am. My name's Phil, and I live here in Tampa, and I'm very thankful for Chris inviting me out to speak and everything that the Pediatric Cancer Foundation is doing. A little bit about me. I lived in Tampa for about 7.5 years. I previously was in a touring national band, college graduate, 3.2 GPA. And now I own a successful wedding photography business with my wife, and we are actually starting a nonprofit organization for Tampa and the arts. And I don't say that to like brag or to be like, these are all my like cool accolades, but because the journey that I'm currently on is a lot different than the journey I was supposed to be on when I experienced having pediatric cancer. So, a little bit of background, I was born in Bronx, New York with my mom. Cool little kid. If you look in the back, I was kind of cute. That's my mom right there. It was me, my mom, my brother, and my dad. And then everything was awesome. I was a fun little baby. I was happy. How do I move forward with this? There we go. I was a little chubby little baby. And I was happy. And everything was awesome. And then fast forward 2 years, and our lives kind of started to drastically change. In 1986, my father left my mother in an affair, and so my mom was going through a lot. And then all of a sudden, my left eye started becoming really red and puffy, and she couldn't figure out what was going on. After a few days, she was like, all right, we need to get this checked out. And so we went to a doctor, and they said, don't worry, ma'am, your son just has pink eye. It happens. Kids play with things. They touch their eyes when they shouldn't. Just give it a few days, it'll go away. And that did not happen. Another doctor, same answer. When it started to get worse, my mother requested that we see a specialist. So they assigned us a specialist, and once we saw the specialist, they let her know that I had what was called rhabdomyosarcoma. Rhabdomyosarcoma, so I don't screw up the actual definition. It's a cancer that developed from connective tissues in the body, such as muscles, fat, bones, linings, or joints, or blood vessels. So they found the cancer behind my left eye. And so they said that it was pretty aggressive and that if they didn't start treatment right then and there would be problems. So we initially just said, all right, let's go for it, let's do it. And I wound up becoming an inpatient at Sloan Kettering in Manhattan, New York. And it was there that I started to receive a lot of chemotherapy and radiation over and over and over again. And it's crazy how I can forget what I had for lunch this afternoon, but some of the traumatic experiences that I started to face at the age of 2, I still remember. So I still remember the treatments. I still remember the constant blood work and everything that had to be done. But it wasn't like all horrible. You know, some cool things happened. You know, like I met Madonna when she was in like her cone stage, which was awesome. And I kissed her on the lips, which is awesome because every time I was in school and we played that like 2 truths and a lie game, I always freaking won because no one believed me. And then I had the picture to prove it. I met Billy Joel. I met the guy who played RoboCop. And, you know, like, he didn't have a suit on, which pissed me off, but I met him, and it was awesome. And so the hospital was really cool, you know, and so I remember them doing everything they could to kind of make our time there awesome. So that's me with my bald head after I started chemo. That's me with my mom and Dr. Wallner. And so I pretty much lived in the hospital. So holidays, you know, it was kind of cool. We would dress up and go doctor room to doctor room and get candy. But it was still kind of hard, you know, because that's pretty much what my life consisted of, was those 4 walls. So that was cool. These are all little pictures of me looking awesome with cancer. My little peanut head. That's me and my brother. So times were a little bit hard, and I think back on it, and one thing I will say is, besides the treatments and everything that I went through, really the main thing that pulled me through was strong support. And my mother was my rock, my mom was my rock, and they did a lot of things to get me through, but there came a point where it seemed like treatment wasn't working. And so I have a little small little a cappella spoken word of how I felt at the time. If it's cool, I'll share that real quick. I'm in this struggle for breath. You see, it's a fight to the death. Doctor saying to my mother, sorry, ma'am, there's not much left that we could do. You see, we tried our best, yet we almost faced the facts. Cancer is a killer, your son's life, an ancient artifact. Please don't act hostile. We know you cherish your child, but we did all we can. We even went the extra mile. But the rest, that's in your hands. Making funeral plans. Mom yells, damn, as she puts it in God's hands. I didn't understand. I was scared for dear life. I was afraid to close my eyes because this might be my last night. So while holding Mama's hand tight, she whispers that it's all right, acting all calm, though I knew that she was uptight. Fright had us both in a tight grip we couldn't wrestle. IVs were all I saw coming from my blood vessels. I was nestled in my mom's arms. I felt death flee me, and I thank God above that death had no victory. So after mass amounts of treatment and radiation and living in the hospital, the doctors came and they said, we didn't think anything was going to work, yet it did. And it didn't end there. It was good enough that I could go home, but I still had to come in every few weeks for treatment. And so that happened for years and years and years. And then even once they said I was cured of cancer when I was 7 or 8, I still had to then start on medication that I would have to inject all the time because the radiation was going to now stunt my growth. And so they needed to do everything they could to inject hormones into me so that I could at least grow into adult size. And so not everything was bad. However, the reason I love being able to be at something like this is because I'm very thankful to God for my mom, for all the doctors who put in all that time and effort for me to be standing here right now. You know, they said that I wouldn't live, and then they said if I did, I would be a vegetable, and luckily that's not what happened. But there were a ton of lasting effects. And so I hold no, ill will to any of the doctors because they did everything they could for the knowledge that they had at the time 30 years ago. But there were many effects. And some of the things that, would happen is up to this day, if I get sick, more than normal, I freak out. If I have a bump somewhere, I'm getting it checked out. 4 years ago, I wound up having a brain tumor that I found. And luckily it wasn't cancerous, but the only reason I checked it out is because any bump on my body makes me think, what is this again? And so another lasting effect is when I was a teenager, probably when I was like 12 or 13, I got braces. And then when I was like 15, we moved to Florida, and the doctor, orthopedic, whatever, what is it? Orthodontist, that guy. I was in his office, and he was like talking to my mom, and he's like, I hate to tell you this, but you're wasting your money on these braces. Like, Phil should not have braces, because looking at like all of his x-rays, all that radiation has made all of his like nerves in his teeth very small, and he is going to have a lot of dental issues like forever. Like, his teeth might fall out early. He is going to have a lot of like, tooth decay or teeth that fall out or rot out, and he's going to need to take care of that. And so whoever told you you needed braces is just stealing your money. So he took the braces off, and he was right. Things started happening. Teeth started chipping out of nowhere. And I would go to the doctor, and they'd say, you have to have it pulled, but we don't want to pull it here because you've had so much radiation that your jawline won't heal. So what was the answer? They didn't have one. So things like that have lasting effects. My height. I'm short. I don't mind being short, but when they were doing like reading of my bone scales and stuff when I was like in my teenage years, they were like, hey, we're looking at what your bone structure was before the radiation, and now you're going to be like 5'3" to 5'5" max, when it looks like your bone structure would have had you at about 6 foot, which someone who was like an early teenager who loved basketball and just watched his dreams of like ever being an NBA star slip away, that was kind of hard. And so this morning, my wife and we just came out from Tampa General, where we are now having to go through IVF to have children, because I can't have children on my own because of all the radiation that I had. So things like this are important. And I know that there's a lot of places that we can put our money, but the effect that your guys' donations can have to something like this can keep kids from having to experience the same thing I did, and be able to stand where I'm standing without lasting effects that you can visually see. Like, anyone who sees me can see there was radiation done to this side of my body. It's just the way it is. But if someone can stand here 30 years from now and say that they are healed from cancer, and you can't even tell, and that there were no lasting effects, then that's an investment worth giving into. So I just want to encourage you guys, if you're here or if you watch this later, get behind this. Like, your Starbucks can wait. Like, you don't need another Frappuccino, but you do want to save a life. So thank you guys.
Well, and that's what it's all about there, and that's the message that that we wanted to let you all hear, and why we are here tonight, and just an incredible story like that, and to hear everything that you went through, and now are up here talking to all of us, and also wanting to share that support with the future generations of kids who are going through some of these same things is so important. So. That's what it's all about. It's about a lot more than just shaving off the hair and the funny haircuts we're going to see here at the end of this night. This is about real lives, and real lives for many, many years to come. So, but without further ado, now it's time for some of the fun stuff, and we're going to bring up some of our guys who are going to be getting their haircut. And I just want to tell you how this is all going to work tonight. We're going to be shaving some beards. We're going to be shaving some heads. And but I want to bring up all of the Cigar City Brewing guys to the shave area if we can. So this is how this is going to work tonight. We're first going to do the heads right over in this area, and then if anyone has any facial hair they need trimmed off, we're going to send them over to the straight shave area over in that corner, and they'll be able to get the beard shaved off as well. But I think we wanted to get a nice group shot up here of everyone. Yeah, and what's become an annual tradition here, and not only do we have the professional barbers who are going to be doing some of these haircuts, but we're going to have some of the kids assisting as well. And that's one of my favorite parts about all this, because we tend to get some pretty interesting haircuts, and I think we've even had some awards for the most obscene facial hair or hair on top of your haircut, because we've had some reverse mohawks and everything else over the years. So I'm excited to see how all this goes down. Are you guys all ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Any nerves going on? Are you guys just ready to handle this? Okay, let's get it on. Here we go.